What's up? Mike Shope, Adam Krautwurst on a Wednesday. Sorry. Do I need to be sorry because it's not Tuesday? The Deep End is a Tuesday show normally. Sometimes in growing up, your favorite shows would move to a different night, like for a special night. It might be 2 hours instead of one, some sort of special occasion. I'm not sure that applies here. Is a fake golf event where they pretend to dislike each other, is that the Deep End? I don't know. I think Adam is watching the match out of the corner of his eye, but we'll keep him honest. Going to talk to Dave Hubbard tonight about last night's Hardway draft. I mean, best of the best in there. Adam's absence is conspicuous, but we'll let that ride for now because you can't have a real expert draft without Adam in it, I say. All right, so let's get comfortable. Welcome to the Deep End. Thanks for watching. Yeah, we got the 4 teams.
Oh, I love it. The 4 teams for tonight. I'm speaking of the match. Like if I would have remembered the match was on tonight, we never would have podcasted tonight. Okay, this match is I'm on the couch just locked into this match. I'm telling my wife, like, this is how all golf events should be televised. All the golfers should be mic'd up. There should be banter going back and forth. But I am disgusted. Like I posted this to Twitter, like as a diehard Josh Allen apologist. Like why I hate this. I hate him and Mahomes. It would be like Kelly and Marino in 1991 teaming up to golf against Montana and Phil Simms or something. Like
Listen,
I hate
Hang on a minute. I love this point. I love that I know somebody that I really respect and care about who is mad about that. And I think it's sincere. I think you really are sort of triggered by that. Marino came to play in Kelly's softball games. Like that's the same thing. I mean, maybe it wasn't on cable, but they didn't always have a bad relationship if they ever did. But the myth of it is that of course they would never interact. I don't know. Is it good TV?
I mean, I think it's not horror. I mean, listen, we're in, it's June. What is it? June 1st. Like we're in a football dead zone kind of for those of us who aren't drafting puppy drafts every day. Of course, you and I just happened to stroll into a puppy draft unknowingly today.
What are the odds of that?
What are the odds of that? Draft's going off every 6 seconds, and there we are locked into a draft together.
Yeah, we should have just turned the camera on this morning. We're both in there.
That's right.
Well, last night's Hardway draft, it's big time. It's definitely the Deep End. I respect guys who want to do $350 drafts against top competition. I feel like we did some version of that last year on Memorial Day. That draft was all innocent, but then it turned into Austin and Habib and Gilds and Louie and you and me. And, that was fun. And I should, for the sake of the brand, mention that Adam went 11-0 to start that year, and then I won the league. So the Deep End had the idea of its own Hardway draft, went and crushed it.
The Deep End dominated for sure. Yeah, I mean, the Hardway draft is exactly.
I'm getting more and more into the underdog world, Adam. I've got, I think it's 11 Best Ball Mania teams, and I did my first 2 puppy drafts today. I talked to you about it before we ended up in the same room.
Yeah.
Just like, is it worth it? Does it get silly? Does it need to? Do you need to get silly? I love in the prizes, it says first and second place, $7. And I'm already spending that $7.
That's right.
From the second one today, if not also the first. But
right.
I like the it's a good fit for me, that $25 one. I don't know how many more I can afford, but I've done 11 and they've been good challenges. And here's something funny. So was it last week or the week before when we did one of those together in here? Maybe 2 weeks ago?
And 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
2 weeks ago. And I really didn't know anything about it. I mean, I know what underdog is, but didn't know the format very well and was not really prepared. And we're talking, and you mentioned that Sean from Go Bills had brought up week 17 stacks. And I was sort of like, yeah, okay, maybe. And then it sort of came upon the thought that, what you want to do is you want to find the ones that are not popular, as if I had really discovered something on my own that was meaningful. I do think it's meaningful, but it was to the serious players who are already familiar with it was obvious, I think. So I've had a good mind for that. It reminds me of the bare knuckle a little bit because I sort of know the opponents. And okay, if I get Christian McCaffrey, then I want Fournette or Evans. If I get Jamar Chase, or it's really not doesn't work for Chase, but if I get Diggs, then I want Mixon. If I get Cooper Kupp, then I want to maybe find my way to, it's not going to be Eckler, but Keenan Allen or somebody like that. I know the games.
Yeah.
Except this is really interesting to me. I did one after having done 10 of them, and I froze because I could not think of who Miami played. And I sort of felt like I have not had to think about Miami yet at all. Like I know it's Chicago, Detroit. I know it's Atlanta, Arizona. I know it's Dallas, Tennessee. I know them all. I thought, but I did not know Miami. And I'm like, you know what? I bet it's New England because I've never thought of them either.
That's right.
And that ended up being right. It is Miami at New England in week 17, which I think is funny because I never had any reason to care about either one in any of these drafts. But the key is, I think, that you never want to let that happen because it's the ones that you forget about that sometimes will end up haunting you. And you had in this one we did together, you had Houston. You know, they played Jacksonville. Like I knew they played Jacksonville, but you can't sort of like set out on a Houston stack. You have to draft Brandon Cooks, and then you figure it out from there. So don't condescend to the players or the teams you forget about.
Whatever. If you learn anything tonight, it's do not set out on a Houston stack. That you do not want to go into a draft saying I wanted the Broncos stack, and we talked about this before the draft, not knowing we were going to be in the same draft together. And I finally get Judy, overpay at the 4-2 to get Judy, and then I wait. It's perfect. Russell, it comes back around. I'm picking 11. The guy at 12 has Patrick Mahomes. I'm like, all right, I'm going to take whoever I took, and the guy with Mahomes takes Russell Wilson. And I just want to watch my phone across the room. It's like I feel like the people in there just go in there to ruin stacks. And I got to tell you, this is the third underdog draft in a row where the guy directly in front of me has a window into my soul. I'm telling you, the guy in front of me in this draft, going, pick 10, picked every player I wanted for like the first 5 rounds, 5 opportunities. So 1, 3, 5, 7. He took them every single time. And it was just, so that was frustrating. And then to lose Russell Wilson, that was frustrating. But to get that frustration out in a $5 draft, it's fine. It's fine by me.
Listen, that's going to happen. I felt violated in this way myself. You're a celebrity. You're fantasy elite.
Oh,
you are elite. You are Hollywood elite. So they're gunning for. They see draft guy. Everybody else in there is R2, 5, 7, 4,
R2D2.
And you're in there. I'm draft guy. I'm show. That's it. Come and get me. I didn't even really want that, but that does happen. Do you remember a few years ago there was a guy, mock draft guy or somebody who would go into this is like ESPN. I remember this from Twitter. ESPN mock drafts, fantasy football, and they would just go in and wreck them. Like they did the one, be in the chat and screen grab the whole thing. Oh, good luck, everybody.
It was probably Hubbard. He probably went in there and took like every. He probably started taking kickers at pick 10 all the way through the whole thing just to ruin everybody's day.
101 instead of Gurley or Bell. It was like Kaepernick, who was out of the league already, just sort of to mess with the whole draft. Because if that happens, the whole thing is kind of destroyed.
Right.
But I always laughed. I might not have laughed if I were in there. Let's bring in Dave Hubbard.
It's a
pleasure and an honor.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Hi, Dave. Who's been nicer to us, Adam, than this guy, than Dave Hubbard? Who's been more complimentary to us?
A lot of people disagree with you on Twitter. They don't think I'm very nice.
But yeah, Dave, it's finding it's. We've been in a couple rooms together, a couple of podcasts together, but it's nice to finally have you 2-on-1 here. And I know, are you going to be in Vegas this year, Dave?
Definitely going to Vegas.
Love it.
Billy, I'm gonna draft again with Billy. Not all our teams, but some of our teams, and we're gonna do the big money leagues out there together. So we got 3 10Ks out there this year.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You doing
the bare knuckles?
You doing the bare knuckle?
Be on the deep end. I look forward to this.
Thank you.
Talk shop with y'all.
Yes, we realized today
that bare knuckles. That's a tough draft. There's some experts that do that every year. So no, I'm not doing the bare knuckles this year.
That's me. Well, this is my second year, so it's the beginning of a streak. But
well, Mike doesn't even know who the Dolphins play this week 17. I don't know how well
now I do.
Come on.
Now I do. It's June 1st. Now I do. But you know what? Last year, preparing for that, just, Dave, Adam threw me into it. He's like, we're going to do the bare knuckle. Are you up for it? He's like, we'll split it. And I was like, yeah, I'm up for that. I can figure that out. So I was doing flashcards with the colors of the players based on the positions that FFPC uses, like those colors, and then their bye week. And that wasn't really, I don't know. I'm not somebody who learns by reading. So I sort of gave up on that. And then I got out there and I met Bip and other guys who were in that. And he's talking about doing, I don't know, more than 100 of these underdog drafts, these quick, cheap, easy drafts. Maybe it was some kind of number like that. And I'd done 4. Like I felt like I did. And then Adam didn't want to partake. Adam went to the bar and I drafted the whole thing. And we got 5th. I mean, we could have done worse, but it's not.
Got 5th. That's not bad for your first time. That's a tough draft. I've watched it a couple times. I could probably do it because we do 150, 200, 300 drafts a year, but I've never done it. Got too many other things going on.
That's right.
Yeah, you've made your choices for that trip, and they sound like good ones. We're all at different hotels, which is going to be another problem. Let's talk about last night. So that's such a good room. I'm jealous. You guys have 12 great players. You got the 12. What was your reaction? Are you so cool, if I may, that 12 or any other position are all the same to you?
I'm honestly, I don't. People get worked up on draft slots. I do so many. I need every slot to get a variety of what I want to accomplish when I'm playing these tournaments. And I actually like the 12 hole this year. I've drafted several different ways. I'm not sure yet which way, if I got it in the 10K, I would go. But I've liked the team fairly well every time I've done them, and with different structures and different thought process. When it got to us in the 12 hole, Billy actually did this one with me. And Billy's only said he's only doing 2 350s. I said I wasn't doing any 350s, and then May rode around, and I ate my words. But Billy actually, this was one of the 2 350s he was going to do for the year. I said he picked a tough one because the chances that the overall winner comes out of this league are not great. I mean, everybody in this league is either a grinder, a content provider who not only is a content provider, but they know draft flow, they know where players go, they know when they need to push a position. So all these guys in this room are super, super sharp, and I thought the draft was pretty tough.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting too because it's not. I mean, it really is the who's who of the guys drafted on FFPC. You got Abib, you got Todd from PA, aka football. What is his name now?
Best Ball.
Yeah, it says Todd from PA on there, but yeah, Best Ball NFL, and you Theo, and you've got. It's funny because the guys didn't put their normal, non-sheeple rankings, but they didn't. A lot of guys, like, I didn't know what pick you were. Looking at it, normally.
Yeah, that's a name. Billy and I, we come up with a name for our teams, and that's going to be our name this year for our team. So
nice.
Last year it was something different. It was Museo HHS, but this year every one of our teams are going to be like Bluff and Rivers dash some number or something. But in this draft, you had Scoundrel in the 1 hole, who's drafted in this thing I think every year. Nice guy. He's drafting some with Kirk Kukas this year. 2 hole was Dwayne McFarland, who everybody knows Dwayne. Dwayne's a super, super sharp guy.
For sure.
3 hole was Hilo, who's also he doesn't draft a ton really in redraft. I don't think. I think he's more spends his time in the best ball arena, but he's really sharp. 4 was Mojo, who knows everything about FFPC, ADP, everything else. Then you have top best ball guy, and then you have
Abib
was in the 6. Oh, Abib. Abib is Davis Mills. I think was going to be in the Davis Mills. He named it. He's from Houston, so he named it after the quarterback. Austin Martin was in the 7. Dan Williamson was in the 8. The 9 was two-packer. The 10 was Theo, and the 11 was Noah Riddell.
Yeah,
I don't know if y'all know Noah, but Noah's a very sharp guy too.
And I think almost all those guys are in the Draft Sharks Invitational. So, which is another competitor. I mean, that's 6 or 7 leagues. But yeah, no, this is as hard as a league as this is going to get.
Yeah. So everybody was locked in. I mess with Austin. Me and Austin are we've been close for a long, long time. And he's big dynasty guys. Everybody knows, but he got trapped. We said me and Nelson said he got trapped by King Henry in this one because King Henry hadn't been dropping like this. But I've done a draft subsequent to this draft where he dropped even further. So I don't know if all of a sudden people decided that his age and his injury history, he doesn't belong in the first round, and now that's where he's going to live. And there's going to, because I was thinking maybe that'd be the only Eckler Henry team, so maybe that would work out for him. But now the last 2 drafts I've seen subsequent to this draft, Henry has went in that area or later.
So that was the first thing. I was watching this last night on Goat District. I mean, 5 of these guys were in there. I mean, I saw Noah and Theo and Dan. That was the first really interesting thing. And maybe Andrews at 105, but that's not at all shocking, I think.
I've seen him there before several times this year.
Yeah. Henry going past Barkley, and Adam and I were talking like, okay, but just in a vacuum, Henry at running back 9. Do you think maybe you sort of hinted at it? Do you think that this is what's going to continue? Because there's always so much sort of like questions about him or doubt.
I've always been a big King Henry fan ever since high school. I mean, I watched his high school tape. The guy's a phenom freak. But running back age and injury history affects the running back position more than any other position. So we might have seen the best days of King Henry. I think we have seen the best days of King Henry. Now, could he have another good one last good year? Maybe, but I like to get off a guy before the cliff falls off than after the cliff falls off. So I'll take my chances fading King Henry this year. I don't think I'll own him at all. I mean, if I'm not going to own him in the 12 hole, Billy talked about him, but if I'm not going to own him in the 12 hole, I'm probably not going to own him this year, or roster him. Better rephrase that: roster him this year.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Dave. I was fading Henry last year. I mean, it was embarrassing how many shares I didn't have. I mean, I might have had 1 share of Henry in the million teams that I feel like I owned. And I'm going to be off him again this year. And I mean, it's funny because you ask, you always want to compare like, oh, would I take Barkley over Henry? Well, yes, but I normally would not have to make that decision ever, right? Because Barkley, I think Barkley in the 3rd round. And Henry goes in the 1st, but now it looks like they've kind of met here, and they might be, because word is out that I mean, people who know kind of what they're doing and who follow this stuff and who believe in Saquon know that the Giants were going to use him the way that they're supposed to, and now that the coach says that they're going to unleash him in the ways that that make him valuable, it's like, oh, okay, now he starts to go up. Now he's moving up draft boards, and we'll get to your team in a second here, but I do want to ask you about Saquon. How high do you I don't even know if you're a Saquon guy, and how high do you think he could get come August, September?
I don't think he's going to move up unless there's a bunch of news in the preseason. I like where he's going. I own a ton of Saquon already, and I love where he's going. I just don't think he'll be a guy unless something happens. I don't even think he's going to play in the preseason, so that's also going to help.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to move up. Henry's a guy that like guys that, but now they might have missed that window where a lot of guys subscribe to the theory that the masses draft him at 107 and all of a sudden he's going at 2.6. Well, you want to own your shares at 2.6, which is a valid drafting strategy that has worked for some very sharp people for many, many years. But I'm more of the philosophy of I rarely do that. I did that in this draft. I actually took 2 players that I don't take ever, and I've done a lot of drafts already in 2022, and we took them in this draft because they went way past where all the drafts I've been doing. They went way past where I'm talking about 2 rounds past where they go in drafts. So I usually don't do that much, but I do it a few times because if you do enough volume, you probably should do that because you could be wrong on a player. You could think, okay, and then all of a sudden I've seen it many times where I've been dead wrong on a player and the player outperformed, and I could have looked back at draft boards and I could have got him. Me doing volume drafts, I could have took him a few times at a severe discount versus the field, and owned a couple of shares of him, which would have been smart. But I don't tend to do that many times, and I don't think I'll do that with Henry unless maybe he falls to the 4th round or something crazy. Then I might have to rethink that. But I just think his scenario this year is not great. And them drafting a guy that's a banger. I really like the Haskins kid. Yeah. And he looks good on tape. And I think they drafted him for a reason. I think they know Henry can't stand up to the 300-plus carries for now. So they're gonna sprinkle other guys in.
Is one of the guys you're thinking of when you say you drafted him a round or two late is Juju?
Yes, sir, it is. Juju
So
goes like 6'2". I didn't understand it in this draft. I actually watched Dwayne McFarland's he did a little pod on this. Him and his partner did a little pod while he was actually drafted alive, and he actually said they're going to trap me into Juju here at 6'11", whatever it was, and he passed him. He decided to take the upside in Traylon Burks, and then Lamar Jackson was there, so he thought that was in the hedge, and then he just free-falled after that. That's the only share I own of Juju, because Juju usually lives at 6'2" in these drafts, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". You can like clockwork. So I don't know what happened in this draft. I mean, maybe everybody hates Juju, but I don't understand he fell that far.
Especially
yes, Mike, that's very good. That's the exact player I was talking about, or one of them.
And that's why Mike has the bare knuckle. Okay.
I'm not even sure Adam knows this, but I love him.
I historically, I love Juju. He didn't look good to me, and maybe it was an injury the last couple of years. And I'm big on my eyes, what my eyes tell me. And maybe he gets to Kansas City and he's healthy again, and he goes back to the 80, 90 catch guy with Mahomes. That's possible. It's very possible.
Yeah,
he has great hands.
Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
No, he has great hands. It's just he doesn't look like the separation just looked like it wasn't there. But he also had Big Ben throwing him the ball the last 2 years. So and then he got injured. So there's a lot to think about with him.
Yeah, I'm not off of Juju. And what's interesting, too, is the fact that a receiver fell this far when all the quarterbacks fell. Like, no one took quarterbacks. So to have a receiver fall with the quarterbacks not being taken is pretty interesting, too. I'm not off Juju. I think I've kind of, I've kind of planted my flag on the rest of the receiving core. But at ADP, I'm fine with Juju. I like to I like to stack him. This obviously isn't best ball, but yeah, I like to stack those Kansas City receivers, the week 17, all that kind of stuff. But kind of Sky Moore has kind of been my guy. And what's interesting too is I've been doing so many underdogs because it's kind of that time of year, and Sky Moore goes in like the 7th round in all these. It's fun to come back over to the FFPC, and I don't know where he went here, but you can get him in like the 9th, 10th round.
They got a couple of guys splashing in there. The Justin Ross kid, undrafted free agent, looks unbelievable. Yes. Mahomes was raving about him. They have MVS there who has the skill set to be good. They have McCole Hardman, who's been there the whole time, has a history with just hadn't done it on the field, but now Tariq's gone. They have a lot to think about with their whole team. The running back position, the quarterback. The only thing you don't think about on that team is quarterback, tight end. The rest of the positions are really, they could go a variety of ways.
Well, I think I see why Juju fell. Sky Moore got taken 4 picks ahead of him by Dan Williamson. So
yes, he did.
He set he planted his flag on Sky Moore there, which makes me excited because I
like Sky Moore's tape. I just don't know what they're going to do there. They have so many mouths to feed, and then the Ross kid just looks like an athletic freak. And they went and got MVS, then they went and got Juju. It's hard to figure out what they're going to do this year.
Yep,
I love them. It's daunting that so many good players seem to not, but his contract works against him. And what happened last year is in people's minds too, that he couldn't get a contract. He flirted with Kansas City last year, but it didn't happen. Like they're sort of off the field a little bit if you care about the kind of thing we're talking about that sort of works against him. But there is that challenge with the Chiefs, but you know as well as anybody, if you get it right, you win big. Yes. And he is my pick. He's been good everywhere when he was healthy. His quarterback was flat out terrible. We all know it. He was getting him killed over the middle of the field. And if a different player had been in his role, that guy would have been injured for the last 2 years. So I am in on Smith-Schuster. Again, maybe on one side of the coin, you respect the people who are making the negative arguments toward him. But if enough people are sort of down on him for these kind of reasons, or they didn't pay him or whatever it is, there can be an opportunity in those situations. So I like him around 5.
I 100% agree with that. Maybe I need to go back and watch the last playoff game he played. The last playoff game he played, he was unbelievable in that game. And Deontay and all those games all those guys were on the field, and Juju was the one that had a monster game. But
right, and some argument against him is related to effort. And how do you show up like that in the playoffs? Anyway, he's an interesting one. You're right.
But
So
yeah, that
Dave-
was the guy that we passed him there, and then he came all the way back. And I said maybe this will be one of my few shares of Juju. So we put Juju on the team.
So Dave, I see you took Gabe Davis, you took James Cook. Why CD Lamb in the second round over Stephon Diggs? Is it because you love Davis and Cook? Is that what's going on?
That's not no. I love Stephon Diggs, but when I do so many of these drafts that I look at my player ownership, and we under-own CD, who I like almost as much as Diggs.
Yeah.
So we decided to go with Devontae Adams, and Billy's only going to own one team. He likes CD too, but we like those are the three players we debated. We were going to go with receiver, and on this particular team, we decided to take Devontae and CD. It's not that I like CD more than Diggs. It's just another putting a team together and structuring a team. That's the way we decided to structure this team.
You know, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because we're still like in the first half of this draft, and there are a couple other interesting things, and we all have, you know, a deadline of some form or another. But you talk about Derrick Henry, like, does he move back up or what? If there's one guy running back above him who could slip, I could see Harris slipping, Dave. Like, there's the early weight point, and if the buzz on the Steelers is that none of the quarterbacks really looks good, and that's possible. I mean, at least I know Roethlisberger didn't either, and he got all the volume anyway, but it's kind of a dream year. Like, he wasn't good in any sort of efficiency metric. So enough players could maybe sour on him versus Barkley, who maybe everybody thinks he physically looks great, or Jones even.
He has a pretty good range in drafts. I've seen him go 3 overall, and I've seen him make it to the second round already. And that's before the news about his weight, ballooning weight. That's never a good sign with a running back. He says he played at 240 last year. I don't think he did.
No way.
I mean, he had a great rookie year. Maybe he enjoyed the offseason a little too much, and that happens. Originally, when I first sat down, every year I sat down in January and decide, look at players, what am I going to do? Najee was on my list of people I was planning on fading. I have constructed a couple of teams with him, but that news about his weight, I'm going to need a better deal on him now because I don't know how motivated he is to play on a team that's not going to be a winning team. In my opinion, I don't think they're going to be a playoff team by any stretch. So he's an interesting guy to evaluate, and I don't think I'll be overweight, no pun intended, on Najee Harris. I definitely won't own him in any of the 10Ks. So whoever drafts with me in 10Ks, if you want Najee, you'll get him.
Well, hopefully by then, Najee's lost all the weight by the time you're drafting the 10K.
Yeah,
But
he's
I would
looking
almost,
good, buddy.
like, this is going to sound weird, but I would almost rather hear at this point in the year that a running back is accidentally overweight than he is trying to put on weight. Because putting on weight never works.
Never works out.
Never works. Le'Veon Bell, I'm sure, Dave, you can think of more examples, but Le'Veon Bell was the big one where he played his rookie year at whatever, and then he lost 15 pounds and he was explosive. And so I always want my running backs to lose weight. When they purposefully gain weight, they want to keep it on because they want to play it that way. If he came in fat and lazy and is going to lose 20 pounds, perfect. Like, I'd rather have you come in shape, but you have 3-4 months to get that weight off. So if I can get Najee creeping down into the, like he goes here, maybe even early second. I mean, because he's one of the very few, him, Mixon, Eckler, Dalvin, McCaffrey, Taylor. I mean, he's a workhorse. He gets the catches. He gets the goal line work. I mean, there aren't many of him out there. So I want to believe in him. I'm definitely not fading him unless he's 240 come August. Then I'll be fading him.
And the other thing that's positive about Najee, gave the negatives, but the other thing positive about Najee is there's nobody in that backfield to compete with him for catches. I mean, they have nobody. So
and they don't want anybody else, which is fine. Great.
It's such a bad investment. I mean, how do you draft a running back in the first round and then just wear the heck out of him on mediocre teams? Last year's team made it, but come on. I think I should probably admit that his last meaningful run was the touchdown run on the Monday night against Cleveland that cost Louis G and I $1,000 in the football guys tournament. We lost on that. So here, personal question, but still a fantasy question, Dave. Do you think when the experts are all in the room together and they know it, that they might try to impress each other with how little they value quarterbacks? That like it's
100%
sort of
that's the case.
Yes.
like a stigma to draft a quarterback, even like it's sort of in range. So what you have here, I mean, I saw Aaron Rodgers, I think, in the 16th or 18th round. Like, you know,
And they rarely in a draft when you're drafting with really sharp people, a lot of them never take a second quarterback, like ever. Now some
Stafford
guys
in
that are really
17.
good drafters will push it back and take 2 real late, so they got 2 to play with all year. Some really successful drafters that I draft with a lot, that's their MO. They'll take 2 in every draft, but they take them in the 14th, 15th, 16th round. So yeah, quarterback gets devalued as it should in 4-point PPR leagues. It should be devalued a lot more than what it is in some of these drafts when you get in with novice players and these football guys where they take 4 quarterbacks and their roster is just they're dead after the draft because one, they're not going to ground waivers the way other people ground waivers, and they put themselves way behind the 8 ball by using valuable draft capital on quarterbacks, and they can only play one of them. It makes no sense, but they do it. They'll show up, they lose all their money, they'll show up the next year and do the exact same thing. I don't know if they can't process that's why they're losing, and they think it's an advantage to block the league. But if I can give some advice to anybody who's playing these 350s, the goal is to win the big money. It's not to win the $1,500. $1,500 is nice, but if you're putting 4 quarterbacks on your football guys roster, your chances of winning the $500K are over after the draft. I mean, you got 0 shot, less than 0 shot. So
Adam,
take
you
that
know,
whatever you want.
do you remember that Memorial Day draft last year with all the experts? I drafted Prescott and Brady. And
Yeah.
I didn't know that there wasn't regular season money. And I won. I want to give myself respect for Dave. But Louis and I in the main event drafted Fields and Cousins together last year late like that. And then we cut Cousins for some reason and also won. So, I mean, I feel like this was really interesting last night with, I mean, Justin Herbert in the 8th. What's the best example of this? Mahomes and Jackson in the 7th, Rodgers in the 18th?
Herbert, that's the latest I've seen Herbert go by 2 rounds in any draft I've done this year. I've never seen Herbert go there, ever.
And there's a stack there, but obviously not the priority that it is in best ball. So you don't see teams reaching for their quarterback once they've drafted, you know, the alpha receiver.
Yeah, that's Austin's team, and he even mentioned that. He didn't even have to reach. He just paired Herbert with Eckler for free. So wasn't a bad was a great pick.
I like it. And I know we want to move on, and we have a ton of stuff to talk about in this draft, but I just wanted to ask one thing because it's been coming up. And I've been talking to Billy a little bit, where he's always posting boards. We're always talking, and I want to get your opinion on this real quick before we move on, because you were in kind of that receiver range there at the end of the first round. So to me, the tiers are Kupp, Jefferson, Chase, whatever order you want to put him in, and then Diggs, Adams, Lamb. To me is the next tier, and then after that, I feel like it's the Wild West. Like I like Higgins a lot in that next tier. Evans, Higgins, Debo, AJ Brown, Tyree. But I feel like I don't ever feel good about getting any of those guys where they're going, except for maybe Higgins. How do you feel about that, Dave? Do you feel like those tiers are correct? Would you add someone? Would you take somebody away?
If I'm doing one draft, those tiers are not. Those first 2 tiers you mentioned are great for me. The rest of it, I could go a variety of ways with those receivers, like you're saying. And I think you could ask 15 different people right now, and they would give you 15 different answers. So, as far as the Adam, I think they have it right with Adams, CD, and Diggs, and then Chase after his year. You have to put him there. I don't love his year end of the schedule at all this year, but and then Jefferson is just a freak. I think Jefferson is the best receiver in the NFL. No disrespect to Cooper Kupp, who did it, and I like Cooper Kupp, but Jefferson just could any given year Jefferson could just blow everybody away. I think. Yeah.
Adam and I have argued about whether Cooper Kupp is in the top 10 because I don't know if he's really. I
think you have to put him in the top 10 because he did it, and he has that rapport with Matthew Stafford, and not a lot changed, and he's going to continue keeping on. He won't be a guy I'm overweight in, obviously, because I'm not going to take him with the first 3 picks very often. In the 350s, I'll have a few Cooper Kupp teams where I build him just because he's capable. He's shown you that he's capable of putting up multiple 40-point games in a row, and I don't think much changes with him. It might actually be even a better situation for him because Allen Robinson, ODB's great, but Allen Robinson demands a lot more attention on the opposite side of him. So
Robinson is moving up, isn't he?
Definitely. Early in the drafted season, you could get him in the 6th round all day long in these football guys in the FFPC drafts. But now he goes in the 4th round a lot. This particular draft, he went in the 4th round of this draft. Yeah, he's moved up a solid round, easy.
I thought I would at least get, I'm waiting a little bit to do my 350 so I don't, end up doing $1 million like I did last year.
Waivers are tough when you do it. I've done it for many years.
Well,
they're brutal.
But now I've lost, and this is why you do them, because I've lost. Like Mike knows, I've been talking about Allen Robinson since the day he signed with the Rams, and now he's in the 4th round where he should be. Maybe you could move him up there with Michael Pittman, and I wouldn't think you're crazy. Jalen Watt, he's a guy that I just probably lost a couple rounds of value. Now, granted, this isn't necessarily his ADP. This is the hard way draft, and it's a lot of really smart people taking their guys. But I think he's going to end up there eventually. So it's fine. I'll take him in the 4th round, but we were getting him in the 6th or 7th a month ago.
I look back at some boards I did early, and I got him in the late 6th a few times.
Yeah.
Sneaky Joe, if you're watching, yes. Reminder, you should trade Logan Thomas for Allen Robinson, no matter what. I told you privately. Now I'm telling you publicly or whatever this is. All right, Dave. So at the risk of keeping you too long, I have one question that I wanted to ask you the most. You have X amount of dollars to invest in a year in fantasy football. We know you're into FFPC. That's how I know of you. I also know you, Billy, because of FFWC. We've done some leagues with Billy.
Sure.
How do you what do you have to say about how you choose where you play?
I used to just be a tournament player, but I talked to some very smart guys and I thought about it more. I think anybody that does say whatever you want to use, say you're going to do $10,000 worth of fantasy football teams. Okay, we'll just use that as a round number. You should have 30% of that invested to individual confined, what I call confined leagues, like a 5K, a 3K, because your chances of winning these tournaments, I don't care how good you are, how smart you are, you have to there's some luck involved in. I've won one. There's some luck involved in weeks 15, 16, 17. Anybody tells you that there's not, a lot of stuff has to go your way to win one of these things. That's why it's amazing Abib won two football guys. That's an amazing feat. Probably never be duplicated. I don't even know how he did it. That's crazy. But there's a significant amount of variance that has to go your way during those 3 weeks. So you can offset say you invest the $7,000 in the tournament and $3,000. If you win the $3,000 league, you could still be profitable for the year by your league money. But if you stick all your money in these tournaments, the same thing. I have a little poker background, and I deal with some professional poker players regularly. If you just play these huge field tournaments, you're probably never going to be a winning player if you don't mix in some cash or smaller field tournaments. Same thing applies to fantasy football. But if you're only doing 1 350 team and that's your budget, that's fine. But if you're actually going to branch out and do volume and do more teams, you definitely need to include some confined leagues. I told Billy that Billy used to not do the confined leagues. Now he's hooked. He wants to do them all because we had a lot of success last year in the 10Ks. And so you have to do some confined leagues where you're only trying to beat 11 people instead of 15,000 people. Now, truthfully, you don't have to beat 15,000 people. And in tournaments, you don't control what happens in other leagues. So there's multiple leagues out there where they might be 9 players that have given up and guys are getting stuff off the free agent waiver wire that they shouldn't get. The guy that won the 500K last year got Joe Burrow off the waiver wire. How many leagues that happened in? Not many.
He lives right around the corner.
Whole complexion of the outlook of his team because Joe Burrow went nuts in the last 3 weeks. So that's what I mean by variance and having a little luck go your way. That's a little luck going your way when you can get Joe Burrow off the waiver wire. So, and you have no control over that because you might not be in that league. Same thing with main events or anything. You're playing a tournament. You have to win your individual league to get to the high variance 3-week shootout, and then everything has to go right to beat all these teams in that shootout. So mix in some confined leagues against whether it's dynasty, whether it's a big payback, whether it's a high society, whatever your budget can afford. Mix in some of those confined leagues to offset the high variance risk in these shootouts.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And in fact, this year, my bankroll, it's going to be more than 30%. I'd call them cash leagues too. You just want to call them cash leagues or tournaments. Sure. I'm more than 30% in cash leagues this year. I'm probably a little bit more than 50% because I just feel like, I feel like it's much easier for me to beat. It's easier for me to beat 11 guys And there's even decent payouts for third in a lot of these leagues too. You don't even need to win the whole thing. You can come in the top 3, grind it out, and you'll do okay. So I definitely agree there. I don't mean to put you on the spot, Dave, but do you know, like, I know you play all over the place, but what do you know, like, what your favorite tournament, or like the one that like you feel like fits your style the best, where that is?
I'm definitely an FFPC guy. I've won a lot of money in NFC. I haven't been playing NFC lately. I still like those guys are great over there. It's a great structure, great tournament. I think lifetime I'm the 3rd winningest player in the history of their deal, and I hadn't played there in 3 or 4 years. But I still play the 20K over there with Nelson every year, which is a confined league, what I'm talking about. Yep. But mostly I'm an FFPC guy. I mean, they've always, Chris Lambert and Dave and Alex have all been good to me over the years. And so I have a kind of a loyalty there where I put a lot of my money with the FFPC because I like the way they treat me. I like the way they do things for them. I mean, you have some disagreements on them, and Alex is known to not like to change anything where maybe he should change a few things, but that's okay. I mean, he's a successful guy for being that way. He's stubborn and sticks to his guns, so I can't not like him for that. But yeah, I'm definitely an FFPC guy. I favor them. I do like the FFWC now. Billy and I are going to do several mains over there. Scott and Billy have done a real good job of fixing some stuff over there that I thought needed to be fixed, and they're working on growing their contests where there's a bigger carrot. That's why I say that they have an online where the grand prize is $50K. Well, I'm going to pay $350 to try to win $50K, and they talk about the league, but I have some investors that invest in me every year, and of course they want a return on their investment. They want to chase the big money, and FFPC has done a great job of growing their contest to get these out crazy grand prizes. But all these contests have some stuff that they could adjust and make better. But to answer your question, I'm never going to go away from the FFPC. That's what I like. I like them, and I like their structure, and I like the way they do business. I mean, I've never had a problem getting my money. I go back to the Wyckoff days where I got stiffed for a lot of money. Oof. So when you tell me something, I'm big on it. If you tell me something, that's your word. You told me that. Now you should follow through with that. And FFPC has never let me down in that regard. They always pay. But FFWC is great too. So those are the 2 places I'll be playing, and I'll be playing the Platinum with Nelson in the NFFC, which I can't say. Greg Ambrose, who runs that, is as good as they get too. So a lot of good people in the high stakes fantasy space. Luckily for us, I don't think anybody will ever be stiffed by any of these contests moving forward. But Wyckoff left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth because I'm Chad Schroeder, who everybody knows. He got really stiff for a large amount of money. I don't think he ever got it. So
yeah.
It leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, I don't think Chad ever got it either. And I think there are. I don't know this for sure, but I think there are different laws now that make it so that these FFPC, FFWC, that they have to like put the money in escrow. Like you can't. So I think there are different things now, protections in place for players, which I think is great. But I'm with you, Dave. I love FFPC. I've been doing it, for forever. But I'm going to be getting into the FFWC this year for sure. I signed up for a bunch of mains over there. I'm probably going to do the 5K over there. I'm doing the best ball tournament. I'm doing the super flex tournament. So I'm definitely doing a lot of stuff.
Have you ever played over there?
We're in the Dynasty together, the 1K together.
Oh yeah, the Dynasty. But I mean, other than that, have you ever played over there?
No, nope.
The structure, you got to familiarize jumping back and forth between structures can really miss even good players. But and when Billy can attest to this, when he first started drafting over there, it's a big change because there's a whole different philosophy on how to draft the teams at FFWC than FFPC, and a lot of people never make that adjustment. So study the structure and roster construction is really key when you go from FFPC to FFWC.
It's not tight end premium over there, FFWC?
Not tight end premium. So they kind of devalue tight ends like they devalue quarterbacks, and you'll be way ahead of the game.
He knows that now after we traded up for Kyle Pitts in the first round. I feel like after tonight.
Hey, that's the only dynasty league I've ever done in my life. And that's fun. I mean, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good.
I'm pretty sure after tonight you
multiple trades already.
Yeah, after tonight you can offer us anything, and Adam will probably say yes.
I can't get Austin to trade with me. I can't get Billy to trade with me. The BSOL guy, I don't know him, but he'll trade with you. If you work out a trade he likes, he's gonna hit the button. I like that guy.
We might be a sure thing. Dave, what is that over your right shoulder?
I don't know.
Behind you. on top of the.
That's my house. Might be my wife's cross. My wife's cross. Probably you looking. I don't know.
There you go.
Over on top of the cabinet.
Is it a crystal FFPC trophy? I don't know. What is that?
No, that's in the. I got one. I could go get it. It's in another room. The main event trophy.
Next time.
Sorry. Yeah, it's got me and Nelson and my friend Doc, who was a big investor. He actually doesn't do fantasy football anymore, but he was lucky and fortunate enough to win the FFPC main event in the 2 years that he invested with us. So he still talks about that to this day.
Well, I got a $5 bet with Daniel Negreanu on who will be the next captain of the Sabres. So when we meet in Vegas, we'll either talk about that or we'll go chase him down.
That dude loves his hockey now. He knows his hockey. Yeah.
I do a radio show in Buffalo. He came on to talk about Jack Eichel and Vegas, and he's like, just in passing, he said, I got $5 that Alex Tuck, who was on Vegas, be the next captain of the Sabres. And when he got done talking, I said, listen, I might agree with you, but you're Daniel Negreanu, so it's a bet.
It's got to be a bet. Book it. Yeah.
$5.
That's good stuff.
We'll find him when we get out there. We'll find him. Dave, what a pleasure. Thanks for joining us tonight.
It's a real pleasure, gentlemen. I appreciate it, and I enjoyed talking with y'all.
I might want to call you Hub after tonight.
You can call me anything. That's great. A lot of people call me Hub. That was my nickname growing up, so I still use it occasionally.
All right.
There you go. All right. Thanks,
Dave.
All right, Adam. Called Adam Krautwurst. So.
Adam Krautwurst. All right, man. Got you.
Bye, Dave.
See you there. Love it.
Yeah, it's really good. So I like the 30% rule.
Sure. I think it just depends on what you are comfortable with, what you are looking for. Like, yeah. And now, listen, the FFPC made events up to $1 million this year. So, maybe I shouldn't have gone more in the cash game. I should have gone more in the tournament. But there's still time to adjust.
It's always been this way, talking about sports or big money. On one hand, it's, what's the difference between winning $500,000 and $1 million? And one answer to that is, I don't know. My life is probably good either way, and I would love to have that happen. The other side of the answer is $500,000.
That's right.
Why would you hold out for more money and demand a trade when you can make $5 million playing for this team? Because that's $12 million over there, and the difference is $7 million. But cost of living.
That's right.
And you go around and around.
I know.
Is the golf over?
That's what I've been waiting for. So what was that, Mike?
Is the golf over?
It was slowing down my internet. I had to turn it off the computer. So
look at you. You put work first.
I know. That's what I'm committed. This is the deep end.
Nothing to say after that.
Thanks
for watching tonight. Thanks to Dave Hubbard, and we'll see you Tuesday.
Thursday? Tuesday?
Well, Tuesday for the high stakes.
Yes.
Scene, and we will figure out guest / draft / topics.
Yeah.
Dynasty is tomorrow.
I think so.
I'll be up.
I'm in. I got a Dynasty League 750 FFPC going right now. We started talking about last week. The one I traded up for Josh Allen. We're in the middle of it right now.
I want the update on that. All new helmets tomorrow.
You got it. See you guys.